people, what's going on? Here to talk about the moon again. It's like, it's right here, I got the moon. We're gonna go to the beginning of the video so it makes a little bit more sense, if it's possible to make any sense at all. Alright, we're gonna get right into it. How ancient megalith stones were moved, utilizing the moon. And a few other things, like every bit helps, you know, everything you can utilize makes life a lot easier here on planet Earth. Suffering from the bondage of time. Alright, many of these ancient sites were on the edge of glaciers, therefore going into the current interglacial period, these sites had winters. Pumapunku, you know, up in the hills there, Tiwanaku, you got the ancient, some old ancient quarries. Alright, winters of snow and ice. Let's see, interglacial periods. These sites had winters and snow and ice that was used to transport many large stones in place like Stonehenge, England, and Peru, in sync with the moon's cycles. And places without snow and ice used the moon to move large loads like Edward Leedskanin moved at Coral Castle. If we use the moon's gravitational energy when transporting large loads in the truck or transporting industry, it would be very economical to save billions of dollars a year in fuel usage. Alright, we got a lot of screenshots we're going to go through. Here's Stonehenge, where it all began. Here they are putting it back up, erecting the big stones. I think the biggest ones are like 30 tons, so that's 90,000 pounds. 60,000 pounds rather. Here's the henge right here. The large ones were sandstone, the smaller ones were bluestone. And this is them being put back up. And I think, yeah, it's pretty amazing set. I was there 2 years ago. Absolutely incredible. It was on the equinox. So, no, it was actually the winter solstice, excuse me. But there was also a full moon on the same day of the solstice. It was a very trippy day. And the clouds were actually coming down and mimicking the shape of the stones at Stonehenge right before the moon came up. More evidence that there's things going on with the moon. I'll do. I think that's from one of my other Stonehenge videos. I'm pretty sure I got that picture in there. All right, the Sarsen Stones are a type of sandstone which is found scattered naturally across southern England. Most archaeologists believe that these stones were brought from the Marlborough Downs 20 miles away. There, great quantities of Sarsens still lie across in the landscape, although their extract origin is not known. On average, the Sarsens weigh 25 tons, with the largest stone, the heel stone, weighing in at 30 tons. Okay, let's skip that one. The average load weighed on these horse-drawn loggers. Look at the enormous tons that these sleds were pulling with just a team of horses, if you will. The average load weighed 25 to 30 tons. Picture loads were sometimes constructed or picked logs which scaled twice as much. So, you know, these pictures are just phenomenal. And obviously that's well over, you know, 20, 30 tons right there. And, you know, 3 foot diameter. I mean, look at the guy's legs here. He's got 3 foot, 3.5, 4 foot diameter logs. Again, here you go. Team of horses. There's a sled. There's a ski right there. Another good shot, side profile. Regular horses. It's a big skis there. Multiple skis. So they're dispersing the weight, but yet it's just snow-covered ground. You know, lightly snow-covered. Right here again, you have you know, just another picture of the good old boys out there making it happen. And we'll go over this information one more time. You get the biggest of Stonehenges known as the Sarsens are up to 30 feet tall, weighing at 25 tons on average. It is widely believed they were brought from Marlborough Downs. We already went over that. Here's some glaciers, okay? And, this is the glaciers are receding, but they actually went and removed a good chunk of land on the edge of Stonehenge and up in England there, and they went down to the bedrock. They didn't have to go too far. It was only a couple, 3-4 feet of topsoil, and they were right on the ledge. And that all being said, there was striations in the bedrock, okay, that are made by glacial movement. So, point being, snow was down there, ice was down there, and the glaciers were down there. So they were moving things with the ice and snow, which is relatively easy, as you can see in those pictures with the horses. Just for the climate change, the glaciers are getting smaller. 1930, same picture, 2012. So it's hard to deny, but this is normal. This is a normal fact of life in the interglacial period. We warm up, everything melts, and then we go back into the ice age. The normal weather on the planet is in the ice age. Talk to all your professionals out there, and this must be up in Alaska. Now this is the greatest gift ever made in my world, anyways. Now you're gonna make a pick. You're gonna move east to west a load, so the moon's doing about 300 miles an hour slower than the Earth. Okay, so rotational speed. So if you want to move something, you want to go a westerly direction, because that's the angle of the dangle equals half the triangle, right? But anyways, that's what you want to do. So if you're going to make a big move or building stone walls or megalithic sites for that matter, knowledge of where the moon is key to making life a lot easier, exerting less energy, and moving things a lot further distance. Is if you're in sync with the moon's activity phase, actually, or position. So you have if you're you got, and also planetary alignments. If you get involved in the planets and they're behind the moon and you're in sync with it, you're going to get a little bit more tugging capability. So it'd be like equivalent to having a few more teams of horses pulling your stones and your logs. Here it is right here. We get the moon right over the pyramids here, just to make a point. In the Ice Age, it was like 3 or 4 years ago, we saw the Giza Plateau covered with snow. So then we're in an interglacial period. So it would be common sense to think that this was a 4-season climate back in an Ice Age, and one of those seasons was winter. So you put a little snow and ice down, you put a 2-ton block on a piece of ice on ice and push it, it's going to move, right? They had sleds back then. All the glyphs show everybody with sleds, and a little bit of ice. So who knows? Maybe a lot of these structures we're looking at were built in the wintertime, or in a seasonal, a season where you had the advantage of ice and snow. You move things around; they move a lot easier. On sleds, pretty simple. I think I made the point. Moving on. Again, another visual. This is it. Down there in Coral Castle, Edward Leedskanin there. I'm always trying to throw an L in there because I knew a guy that had an L in his name. Scanning, and so I think there was 5 or 8 or 10-ton block there. These blocks are enormous. Now Ed was definitely up on the moon. He's got the stone moves down there. He's got a moon pool down there. He also has a sundial that actually tracks the sun and the months of where the sun is. So again, knowing where these celestial bodies are is going to help you move things a lot easier. My other video I did a video on Coral Castle, and I said Ed was, he had his motor, but there was a big weight offset on it, so he's vibrating things, I believe, in certain locations. So he's using, vibration. And everybody knows, I mean, if you vibrate stuff, you can push a block a lot further than if there's no vibration at all. So it's pretty simple. The walls of Jericho, the monks up in the Himalayas, the early explorers down there in the 1700s, 1800s, have pictures of the monks, blowing horns, getting the whole, a road was closed off with a giant boulder, get the horns up, they get the right frequency, and they're able to move it effortlessly. So I think he was involved in that, but I also believe he was definitely involved in the moon torque also. So this is instrumentation, and at the right moment of day, right when I used to work in the industry, and 1,000-pound bags of carbon that were on weight cells, and right before the moon came up, the bags would get heavy. So, and then once it got over the horizon, the bags got light. So there was definitely, a direct correlation to where the moon was, and and the weight of the bag. Okay. Now it wasn't every night, obviously, because the moon is moving one place to the other in different times and things of that nature. But so there's an 18.5 year atomic cycle. It's like I've been talking about in all my other videos. But this is instrumentation. If you watch this pool here, he's got the moon up there also. He's got a couple of moons. But this is instrumentation here, and if you're knowledgeable of what I was just talking about with these 1,000-pound bags, you could actually see the water move in these small pools. And he had a 6-pointed star in there, where that would say the direction. So if he's gonna move a large stone that night, generally it's at nighttime when you get these alignments, he would be looking at that, and okay, it says this way, and be able to push it a lot easier, move and slide things a lot easier. Whether he's using logs, block and tackle, come-alongs, whatever, it still was a lot easier to go with the moon and the sun alignments than just going against it. Like if the moon is at a 90-degree angle to where you are, that's low tide, it's dense, it's heavy, your feet hurt. You stand on your feet during those hours of the day, like some days your heels hurt and the other days they don't. Well, it's about the moon, people. It's pulling your body down harder on top of wherever you're standing. So anyway, long story short, he definitely was aware of what was going on with the moon, and he was able to use it to move these giant blocks. A lot of these things were enormous. And also in my other video, I did a video on Coral Castle. He took the block, he would flip the block 180 degrees. It wasn't a magnet, but it's got a magnetic signature, and anything you cut out of the ground has a magnetic signature. So if you flip it 180 degrees, it's positive, it's going to repel it. So that's also going to help you move your heavy weights. I just built a stone wall last week using 1-ton, 2-ton blocks, and I was testing this out. That's why I'm doing this video. And I would not be able to move one of the stones with a crowbar, a big 6-foot bar. And then I checked it, and then I waited until the moon came around at the angles I just talked about, and I went out there, I was able to move it, a lot easier. It moved. So I knew this anyways, but I just figured, I had a chance to play with some big blocks and make a retaining wall. So this is a great opportunity to do some research. I'll put that up later on to back up my theory here. Cruising across the roads, truckers are, they're definitely feeling the resistance or the non-resistance for that matter. They could be going over a big mountain pass one day, and then the next 7 days later they're just barely creeping up it. So one day they're flying up, he's in 5th, 6th gear, tooling right up the road, same load, and then 5 days later he's in the creeper gear going up the same hill. So if you're going from west to east as a trucker, or if somebody's making large moves, or making large pics, there's enormous weights going across the roadways these days. It would behoove these people, this trucking industry, to capitalize on the moon, especially going up these big mountain passes. Here we go. Oversized load truckers. Pay attention. This is important. You know, you got these massive loads here. The bigger the load, the more help you're going to get from the moon's gravitational fields, you know, and phases and cycles. So that's all. Like, we're talking about saving, you know, billions of dollars a year in fuel for truckers. Okay, probably not so much with cars, but collectively, traffic, you know, flowing in, you know, from the west to east direction is getting better fuel economy in sync with the moon's phase than say, you know, 8 hours later or 7 hours later. It's at a different angle. They use more fuel to go the same distance. It's all traceable, recordable, repeatable evidence here. This isn't, you know, airy fairy stuff. This is real legit. Go to the beach and watch the tides go in and out. Okay. It's a massive energy that we are missing, and we're missing out on. And ice road truckers going across the ice road, you know, out there in the middle of winter there. You carry an extra heavy load. It's at the end of the season. Ice is kind of sketchy. Get in touch with your moon, right? Where's the moon at? I want the moon over me, coming up as I'm going towards it, or setting, vice versa. But you don't want it 90 degrees opposed to you. So because it's pulling down, low tide is heavy. You know, you're heavy. It's very difficult to move anything. So you know, that's especially these people right here, these ice road truckers that are around the globe. They're doing these real risky picks and moves. This would you know, help them out on scheduling. All right, John Shaughnessy here, obviously, and. Yeah, you know, give it a like, subscribe, and yeah, give me some kickback, some comments. But I think that's it in a nutshell, man. You know, that's pretty simple. I mean, those guys and the horses with those logs. I mean, come on, you know, how much more evidence do you need? I mean, it's absolutely incredible. So the pyramids were built in the wintertime. Don't anybody go jumping off the cliff now. And the horses moved the big stones, all right? Okay, peace out. Keep it real, man.